Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Handelsdagarna 2022 and this year's late night talk show. My name is Jessica Kolber, and I'm a second-year business and economics student.
And my name is Adam Fogelholm Kebo, and I'm a first-year business and economics student, and we will be your hosts this evening. In a second, Jessica will present tonight's agenda. But before that, we must ask all in the audience to please turn off your electronic devices. We are currently live streaming this event, and to minimize any technical difficulties, all electronic devices must be kept off during the evening. Take a minute and do so. Thank you.
Tonight, we have an awesome lineup of guests to look forward to. To start off, we will have a panel interview with Bengt Baron and Filip Haglund, where we will talk about their athletic careers and how it has influenced their current business life. Following that, Caroline Farberger will share her experiences within the business industry, and we will cover topics such as diversity, inclusion, and equality.
And we will finish off the show by finding out which one of our students truly knows most about SSC in our new game show, Who Knows the Most About SSC?
But first and foremost, we want to thank our main sponsors, Navigo, EY, and SEB, for all of their support in making this special night happen.
Once again, a warm welcome. And let's kick off the night with a video from one of our premium partners, SEB.
I've been into sports for a very long time. That's more maybe descriptive of who I am as a person.
I had a vision that I wanted to work with sustainability.
Actually, I was interested in volcanoes and thought that geography would be pretty interesting. I was attracted to the internationality, the flexibility, and the culture of the company. It was very welcoming and very generous.
Sustainability is becoming part of a large number of roles in the financial industry today. So I applied for a number of trainee programs. SEB was one of the most, not only prestigious ones, but the most serious.
This is the core part of how you can affect how society looks. I wanted to take part of that. I wanted to be part of developing that society, and this was a chance of doing that. When I started off, a senior mentor of mine gave me a tip. Sophia, if you are to work with business development, you need to understand how things work.
The most exciting part for me was actually working on my first live transaction, to do credit analysis work together with the team, to participate in client meetings.
You felt that you get a special key once you get into the trainee program. It's a platform where you can grow and really get a great start at your career.
I ended up where I hoped to end up. We were working with acquisition and projects finance within infrastructure communication. So it's topics that are really at the heart of the society and impact everybody.
Why did I end up where I am right now? I think is my sort of firmness in that fact that I wanted to work with sustainability. I more or less created my first role.
I think I grew a lot of confidence in who I am as a person. I'm really happy where I am today.
Welcome back, everyone, and thank you, SEB, for that amazing video. I'm sitting here with two of our main guests for tonight. Bengt Baron, a former Olympic gold medalist in swimming, who has later become an influential player in the Swedish business world and have, amongst others, been the CEO for the Swedish liquor company, Vin & Sprit, and for the famous confectionery company, Cloetta. And Filip Haglund, an SSC alum and former professional soccer player who today runs his very own fintech company and is one of Sweden's most prominent entrepreneurs. Bengt and Philip, a warm welcome to the Stockholm School of Economics. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good.
Thanks, I'm great. Thanks for having
I
us.
like to hear that. So, as some of you in the audience might have noticed from this short introduction, there's actually one thing that you two have in common, and that is that you both have quite an impressive background within sports. So, would you like to start by just telling us a little bit about your respective sports career? Bengt, perhaps you would like to start?
Well, finally I ended up focusing on swimming. I started quite late, so I did all types of different sports, but ended up 13, 14, I focused on swimming and was not very good when I was a kid, but I worked hard, and then I started growing, and then I had a quite rapid development. So I won the Olympics as a 18-year-old and then kept on going, and as a 22-year-old I went back to the Olympics and swam for additional finals, but only finished third, so everybody thinks that I quit 4 years before that and broke a world record and, I don't know, 33 Swedish championships and all types of stuff.
Sounds like a pretty awesome career, if I must say. But you also went to University of California, Berkeley, isn't that right?
That's correct. So I won the Olympics as a high school senior. So then the year after I went to Cal on a scholarship, and I swam and studied at Cal for 4 years, and then people thought it was strange that I could combine swimming with reading a book. So then I got a scholarship to come back, and so I went back and I got my MBA, and it was done in 1988.
Cool. Sounds really good. And Philip, how has your soccer career looked like?
I think as Bengt, I started off like trying out a lot of different sports. At the age of quite early, at like 7, 8, I started playing soccer. And played out here in Stockholm for IF Brommapojkarna, and I played for IF Brommapojkarna actually when I started here at SSC when I was 19, 20.
Yep.
And I had a really good season in Allsvenskan with Brommapojkarna, where I also were able to get a contract for a club in the Netherlands. So I think it was last half year when I started here, I went to the Netherlands to play professionally there. Since then I represented clubs in Allsvenskan, IFK Göteborg, Hammarby, Sirius. I hope I'm not forgetting anyone. But I played like 250 games in Allsvenskan. I stopped playing about a year ago. So trying to find out how life is without sports a bit. It's not going well, but I'm trying.
It's kind of a transition, I must imagine.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So, as you mentioned, you played soccer for IF Brommapojkarna and for a team in the Netherlands while you were studying here at SSC. Can you tell us a little bit about that combination? I mean, a lot of us studying here, we feel like we don't have time for really anything than studying.
So I got that question before, and for me, I never had any other combination. During my whole childhood, I did study. I mean, we all studied, but I mean, just combining it with soccer. Obviously, studying at SSC is a big challenge. So I did not get the chance to go to any parties or any student events and so on. But just trying to be disciplined and working out my time and my schedule to be able to get my diploma from SSC. While I played in the Netherlands, I took some courses which were like able to just go back and take the tests. So that was pretty much how I sorted it out. But I think we all have like how we structure our lives and our time during the day. I just always practice 2 to 3 hours a day, and I think like we all, it's all good for us to do that. And maybe we spend some of our day like doing meditation or yoga or looking at Netflix. But whatever we're doing, we're probably just combining things. I wouldn't guess that we study all the time, and I wouldn't say that probably is not the best for us as well.
Yeah. I mean, the time that you spent studying were probably a bit more productive than the 10 hours we sit here in the atrium. So
Yeah, maybe. But I would say maybe that comes from the fact that just being out on the field and getting some of your energy out of your body, you know, keep going physically. And I've been thinking about that a lot. and especially now when I'm not playing, is that in work or in studies, we tend to use the left side of our brain, which is pretty much the logical and rational part of our brain. But on the right side, we have the creativity part. And I sensed when studying at this school, but also in work life, that I'm mostly using the left part of my brain to solve problems. And I think that if we are to be a little bit more successful, we need to combine both, which we actually do in sports. And we do that in dancing and other stuff. But having some kind of hobby or just something that we're doing when we're combining these two parts, I think it's good for anyone.
Yeah, I totally agree. So would you say that your teachers and the staff here at SSC sort of like helped you in combining your sport with?
No.
No.
No, they didn't.
Because I mean, that's kind of different from you. You went to college, right? And there, I feel like the sport is a lot more integrated with the studying.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, my most difficult years were gymnasiet.
Yeah.
Because there was total lack of understanding of trying to combine with anything else. Coming over to the US, everything was, it was not something strange or different. You were expected to excel in both arenas.
Yeah.
And they did everything. So I had a 2-minute walk to the swimming pool, 2-minute walk to the gym, and then you could structure your lectures. So it was easy, except that you're always tired. You work out 25, 27 hours a week, so you're always tired, but it was always doable in a totally different way than in Sweden.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. I actually went to college myself, so I know the differences. It's huge differences. So I'm thinking we're going to move on and talk a little bit more about your business careers. So would you like to just tell us a little bit about the companies that you've been at and the positions you've held? Thanks. Maybe you can start.
I'm so old, there's going to be a lot of companies. Well, I got done with my MBA in '88, and then I ended up by coincidence, I have to say, with McKinsey & Company. So I started consulting here in Stockholm, spent a couple of years there, and then I went on to Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And ended up running the Swedish operation, which was much smaller then because we worked with the bottler Pripps. And then I went on to a much sexier product, which was frozen cod, ran Frionor, the Swedish subsidiary.
Yep.
And then I moved on to international again, to Kodak, which then was one of the 10 most valuable brand names globally. And it's also a lesson in history and how important it is to adapt to technological shifts. So I did that, and I was in an internet startup with a Stepstone recruiting portal a couple of years, and then I ended up with Absolut, ran Absolut Vodka globally for 4 years before becoming a CEO of Vino Sprit. And then I had the dubious, I have to say, pleasure of leading the effort of selling Vino Sprit when the state decided to privatize that. Then I left after we sold it to Pernod Ricard for 58 billion kroner. Took a year off and did a little bit of fun stuff, and then I ended up with Cloetta. Ran that for a couple of years. It was like 6 years in the public world, and then left that. And since then, I've been doing board work mostly with Thule, Mips, Nordnet, all types of companies.
Right. So now you're mainly just sitting at a lot of different executive boards?
Not too many. I'm doing like 4 or 5 of them and a couple of projects on the side. So today I do not have a line position, so I do board work only. So I'm in a very luxurious position today.
Good. Well, just hearing you speaking about your career, it sounds like you've had quite an incredible career. But do you think that if you hadn't gotten the opportunity to go to college and combine swimming with a really, really good education, do you think that you would have been at the same place? Or
No, I think it's probably the smartest decision I've ever taken, and I was lucky enough to have colleagues ahead of me that had gone the same way. I was lucky enough to have a coach that actually went to SSC, who always pushed us to do both, which meant the day that I was done with swimming, I was ready to go into a new arena, and I had the ticket into a new arena through the education. And my coach always said, there are 2 things when you're a swimmer that you need to understand very early on, and that is, number 1, you will quit young, and number 2, you'll quit poor, because there's no money in the sport. So there's no naive professional dreams and all that. So we were quite trained in getting ready for the next step. And I'm really happy because even if the sports career is long, hopefully you have a much longer life afterwards.
Yeah.
And if you prepare for that, you'll have a lot of fun. You will have a lot of fun.
Sounds good. So, Philip, what happened after you left SSC?
At that point of time, we're playing in the Netherlands. I don't have as good of a CV as you do. But
You're young. You're young.
Still young. But actually, I think I would say my parallel career started a bit earlier. Actually, hosting a nightclub here in Stockholm when I was 19. I did not plan for the life after football. I did the opposite. I just wanted to have a lot of fun. But that was probably what I did, because I jumped on and just started off having events at a nightclub, which I guess you would know the name of. I'm not going to drop it. But then I started to write for a local newspaper. Ended up writing for Offside, which is actually a prominent sports magazine here in Sweden. And from there, I got into working in PR. And started writing web pages for Intersport and Team Sportia, and just jumped onto different things. And that was pretty much what I was doing until I got the idea of building like a mobile bank for children, because Sweden were turning cashless, and I had a hard time to understand how children were able to handle their money in a phone, but also understand and interact with them. Which I still think is a big problem, now we're at SSC, but if we look at the population, we do not educate children today in personal finance. You did not learn how to do a budget or what interest rate were when you grew up. For some people, we're gonna end up fine, but for other people, it ends up a bit worse. And if I were to drop some numbers, which I'm going to, there's a high increase of young people ending up in debt when they come into adulthood. Mainly because we're buying stuff with credits online using 1 or 2 clicks. And the financial landscape is, what I can say right now, is shifting. So we're doing microtransaction, we're using subscriptions, we buy stuff in our feeds. So it just becomes way harder. So that's pretty much, if I were to explain it, that's pretty much what we're working with at Gimme. So we're trying to educate children while they're being able to handle their money.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been doing for the last 7 years. It's a roller coaster ride, when you're an entrepreneur. You have to get fundraising, you have to employ a lot of people, you have to do things that other people were supposed to do, and vice versa. So I'm learning a lot every day. I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. But that's pretty much the life. But I enjoy it.
Yeah, sounds exciting.
Yeah.
So speaking about entrepreneurship and about your company, Gimme, how was the process of starting the company? Like, how did you take your idea to become reality?
So first, I think everything comes from an idea. I think we all have ideas. You probably hear them at the dinner party, and people just pop them up. I think sometimes someone has an idea that just is too good to drop. And I think you all are going to have them, or you already had them. You just need to stick to it. Kind of easy, because you have in your stomach the feeling that I need to do something about this. So I had that feeling. And what I did was mainly, I had a little bit of luck, because my brother at that time, his girlfriend were building an app called LifeSum, which is one of the first apps on app stores that came out 2008. So she knew how to build an app. So I asked her, and she said there's a program for wireframing, which pretty much is the flow of every screen in an app. So she showed it to me, and I started using it. And 9 months later, I had an MVP, a minimum valuable product that I could send out on the App Store. And then it took 6 months, and I think we had 50,000 downloads. And Apple called from Netherlands and said we were best app all categories. And then I could start to just build a company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds easier than it probably was, but
but maybe it's not that hard, and maybe it's just you don't have to have the full plan. I didn't have it. I just tried one first step, and then you figure things out as you go. And it's still the same thing. I don't have the final plan. I have a vision, but I don't know exactly what I need to do to get there.
yeah.
The best strategies are always written afterwards.
Yeah, that's
So you
probably
need to invent as you go. You need to adjust as you go.
Yeah.
And everybody who say they had a plan and they knew what to do, they're lying.
That sort of leads me to my next question, because I feel like a lot of us here at SSC, but also youths at all over the place, we are sitting on quite good ideas, but I feel like a lot of people are sort of hesitant in pursuing those ideas because there's a lot of risks involved and there's heavy workload. But how did you sort of manage to pursue your idea, or how did you dare to pursue your idea?
I think I tried to understand what those risks or blockers were. I don't know even if I've seen any blockers that not made it possible for me to come through with it. The easy thing actually, if as me were in sports, I had my income from sports, and I had like 12, 14 hours a day. I didn't know what to do with, so that was kind of easy. For others, it might be harder, but there's probably sometimes like some hours every day you can spend on something you really like and something you would like to make an impact with. But I think that's for me anyways the most important thing. And if I could give some advice, whatever you do, like at SSC or after SSC, make sure that you do something that you really care about and that you want to make an impact with. I think if you're not thinking about that right now, and if you're not like trying to get a feel around it, it will come after you in 5, 10, or 20 years time. So even if it's like working with art, or you want to be a programmer or something, I think SSC is a great, it's a great school, and you're going to get a great exam and you're going to learn a lot. But you can use that knowledge in pretty much any industry. So I would see it as a booster, but for anyone here to find what's really close to what you like and close to your heart.
Yeah, sounds good. And Bengt, you found something that you liked in swimming. And as we said earlier, you even won a gold medal in the Olympics in 1980. And then you studied an MBA at the University of California, Berkeley. But then you sort of changed tracks. And how was that? Like, how did you dare to sort of leave swimming behind and fully focus on your business career?
Well, on one hand, I was lucky because I had fulfilled my sort of naive boyhood dreams of winning the Olympics and breaking world records. So it was sort of tick in the box. So I think that's the lucky part. Then the other part was, I mean, I had to. I need to figure out a way to support myself. And I had this super ticket via an MBA from Berkeley to get into it. So for me, it was actually quite easy. And I was mentally prepared for it. I always say that I mentally retired from swimming in 1984. And I actually practically retired from swimming in 1985 because I had one more year of eligibility in the US. But I was always focused on getting on with it into the next exciting part of life. And I think what Philip brought up, by starting your own or going the way, I think one of the challenges we have in Sweden is we are quite a conformed society. And we do a lot of the things the same way. We go to doggies at the age of 1, and then we go to preschool, and then we go to 9 years, and then everybody goes to gymnasium now, and now everybody goes to university. And then suddenly when you're done with that, so go out and be an individual and do something different. Well, I haven't done that since I was born. So of course it feels a little bit scary to go out and do yourself. And I think this whole notion of finding something that really turns you on. And don't be so focused on what everybody else does. I mean, a couple of years it's consulting, then it's all internet, then it's all banking, and then it's all marketing, and then it's all program, and now it's all entrepreneurs. Go back to yourself and see what really gives you energy. Because that is what's going to carry you through the challenges. Because believe me, there will be challenges, regardless of which way you go. And even if you follow your mom, your dad, or your friend, or whatever, there will be challenges. So you need to have that drive. And the drive doesn't come from anybody else but yourself. Having been the CEO and had personnel for too many years and too many people, and they say, okay, how do you motivate people? I say, I can't motivate people. I really cannot motivate anybody else. I can explain why I'm motivated. And then hopefully some other people can get excited about what we're trying to do and also get more. But it comes from every individual.
So speaking about motivation and speaking about challenges, would you say that there's anything that you wish you had known prior to your career? Like if you were sitting in the chairs that we're sitting right now?
I think there are a lot of things, but I also think I'm quite happy that I didn't know more.
Yeah.
That I was quite naive and much more of a can-do attitude. And I think that is my advice to everybody else, is don't be so pre-planned. Be a little bit naive. I wish that I would have understood that I shouldn't overestimate everybody else and underestimate yourself. But stay humble and really ask questions and learn from people.
Yeah.
It's too bad that everybody has to make their own mistakes, but minimize them by learning as much as possible. Ask questions.
Yeah. And Philip, is there anything you wish you had known beforehand?
Yeah, I think it struck me half a year ago. First I was surprised and I was like, it's obvious, but I played soccer pretty much my whole life. And yeah, half a year ago, I understood that I really didn't make any difference on any person. That could be discussed, obviously, but I just saw myself as a brick in the system. Why I did that is because, if I didn't play soccer, someone other soccer player would have played there for me. So I did not make any change to the industry or to any other people. Maybe some children could look up to me and say, yeah, that's a great player, but they do it with a lot of other players. So for me, anyway, it made me connect to the purpose of the company I'm working with even more. So I don't know, it's just like, I felt anyway that I was a brick in a system. And I love playing soccer, but I just maybe understood that I did it mostly for myself. And it made me feel a little bit like like egoist in some way. I don't know. But yeah.
I can sort of relate, I think.
But harsh truth.
We have talked a lot about your past, but I'm curious, what does the future look like for you? So what does the future look for you, Philip?
Well, I can only answer in a short period of time, but I want to meditate so much more than I've been doing.
Okay.
It's like my New Year's Eve promise. So I feel much more grounded when I do meditation. So I learned a lot from that. I want to stay healthy. I have the problem when I stopped with sports is that I did sports like a nerd. I practiced so hard to reach my goals. But the problem now is I don't have any goal. So my goal is pretty much to not get fat and lazy and lay on the sofa So I'm trying out I want to do jogging 2 times a week, maybe trying to figure that out. But otherwise, I want to build a company where we make a huge impact. So maybe in 10, 20 years time, it's something I can look back on and be really proud about.
Yeah, sounds good. And for Bengt, how does your future look like?
Well, I'm turning 60, so my future is pretty bleak. So I'm all on the downhill. No, I'm joking a bit. I would say on the contrary, I'm extremely blessed with the flexibility that I do have now. My kids are grown up. I don't have the career ambitions, and I have a flexibility, so I can go scuba diving and I can go skiing. I can travel and do all the fun stuff. Yeah. And believe me, I'm going to enjoy it. As long as I can.
You should. You earned it. So, before we move on to our 5 burning questions, we have one last question for you, and that is, what is your best piece of advice for us sitting here right now? Bengt, would you like to start?
Go your own way. I think it's the most important thing. And we were chatting a little bit beforehand. You guys have all the alternatives, all the opportunities. So it's almost like difficult to pick. So I think really go after what you want to do, because that's when you're going to become really good. And don't really care about what other people think is the right thing. Don't be so worried about what everybody else thinks. Go out, do your thing, become great at it, and guess what? People will admire you.
And Philip, what's your best piece of advice?
I don't know if I can beat that. Well, looking back at my time at SSC, I would say see if you can challenge yourself, and if you have high grades, try to get a low grade. Try to get exactly above what is making you get approved for the course. Because I do think that many of you are actually pushing yourself a little bit too hard, maybe just mentally, in terms of what you think is expected from you in terms of your grades. So let's make up a case. So if I were to recruit any of you to the company where I'm working, I would probably not look at your grades. Some companies will, so maybe that's like the path for some of you. But what I would probably look for is passion, if you do care about what you're doing, if you have other skills, which maybe some of the others don't have. So no one ever looked at my grades, but I think that's could be good to think about.
I'll jump in on that because I think that's a really good point. And I always read CVs backwards. So I always start where you guys end, which is personal interest and other things. Because getting an education and getting straight A's or whatever, anybody can do that. I know it's bad news, but anybody can do that. But doing something beyond that or something different, that's quite rare. So when I get the CVs, and you get a pile of them typically, you get a pile of them, and I get so tired of traveling, cooking, spending time with friends and families. Don't write that under personal interest. You are so boring when you do that. So incredibly boring. Tell me a bit about who you are as a person. And I think that's exactly what Philip is saying. Allow yourself to be unique. And that could be anything from collecting stamps to I don't know what. But be a bit unique. Be yourself. Don't be streamlined.
Don't start to think now that you need to become the best in whatever that unique thing is, okay? So
those are some really good advice. So this interview is actually starting to come to an end, and I'm thinking that we're going to wrap it up with our 5 burning questions. So the rules are very simple. I will read the question, and you will simply just answer as truthfully as you can. Philip, I'm thinking that you'll get the honor to start.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Question number 1. What time do you typically wake up in the morning?
When my girlfriend's alarm clock goes off.
Right?
She's always up before me, so that's
Okay.
yeah.
Sounds good. Who is your inspiration and why?
I think my father, actually. I think there's a lot of inspirational, like in sports and so on. But what I really like about my father is that he's so hands-on. So I really adore that, you know, he can fix like electrical parts in the home, and he can paint and just do stuff with his hands. Yeah. So
Yeah.
my dad.
Sounds good. What's the weirdest thing you've ever eaten?
Yeah, I were in Mexico over New Year's, and we had insects.
Oof.
Don't recommend it.
What advice would you give to your younger self?
Shit, I mean, what first came up to mind was that I should have practiced harder. That's kind of so I could have gone further in soccer. But to be truthful, I think that some of the things I've been thinking about is that I practice wrong.
All
So I would have practiced a bit more consciously.
Yeah. And last question. What is something new that's happening in your life right now?
Yeah, that's probably have to be meditation. But
Yeah.
I tried it out before, but yeah, more meditation.
Great. All right. Bengt, are you ready?
Yep.
What time do you typically wake up in the morning?
Very seldom after 6:30.
All right.
I'm
Who
still,
is
still
your-
ruined from morning practice and swimming.
Sounds good. I don't wake up earlier than 6:30 either. So, who is your inspiration and why?
I'm greedy, so I don't have a person. I steal from everybody.
Yeah. Sounds good.
So I have this saying that's steal with pride but respect copyright.
Yeah.
So I try to take a little bit from a lot of different places.
Yeah, you don't want to get caught by urkund, so. What is the weirdest thing you've ever eaten?
Traveling a lot in Asia and inland China, eaten a lot of weird things. But I think having a dessert that is consisted of fermented rice with a sweet sauce and pieces of fried eggs after a dinner of other strange things was quite challenging.
All right. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Don't forget to enjoy the journey.
Yes.
It's so easy to get caught up by being the next step. Enjoy what you're doing.
Yeah. And last but not least, what is something new that's happening in your life right now?
Unfortunately, not a lot. No, I don't think it's much more about being able to enjoy more of the things that I do enjoy, rather than sort of searching for the new kick.
Great. So thank you so much for coming here tonight and sharing all of your knowledge and experiences. It has really been a pleasure having you, and I hope that you and the audience have enjoyed it just as much as I have. Jag vet inte, ska vi...
Tackar. Ja, vi sitter kvar.
A couple of weeks ago, we went out to one of our sponsors, Navigo, and this is how it went.
Hi, welcome to Navigo.
Hi, thank you. So nice to be here.
Come on in.
So who are you?
My name is Cornelia and I work as an associate consultant here at Navigo.
And my name is Hedda. I also work as an associate consultant here, and we're actually both students at Ssc as well.
Nice. So what do you do at this specific company?
Navigo is a consultancy firm, and the word Navigo actually means the one who provides guidance. And we have 4 different business areas. So there's executive search, leadership services, strategy and organization, and performance management. And we're about 70 employees within the company and have offices here in Stockholm and in Oslo.
So what does your specific positions include?
So as an associate consultant, you work in various different projects. Usually you start with an executive search, which is a really great way to learn about how we work at Navigo, about our clients, different industries and so on. But that can look a bit different depending on your own interests and what projects we have going on. And we worked project-based, so starting from day one, you work together with the senior project managers and partners and so on in these projects, which gives you a really good learning curve from the start.
So what's the coolest thing about your office?
Well, besides the amazing location and the view, we also have a lot of cool art and interior design here at the office.
When does the first person typically come into the office in the morning?
The first person who comes in must be Katja or Ullis. They are our receptionists / office heroes. So they come in to put on coffee around 6:30 to make sure that everyone feels very welcome when you come in the morning.
And when does the last one leave?
It varies a lot, but I'd say around 8 p.m.
And what's the dress code here at the office?
This floor that we're in right now is our external floor where we have a lot of external meetings. So therefore the dress code is a bit more like business casual here. But downstairs where we only have internal meetings, you can wear practically like whatever you want.
Where are we now?
This is one of our external meeting rooms. So here we have a lot of meetings with clients.
Okay, cool. What's the company mission?
The company mission is develop people and organizations, and we also have a vision of full potential unleashed.
How do you work here at the office to reach that goal?
We work very client-centric with precision and passion, and our employees are really the most important asset. So we make sure that this is a great place to work and that the employees have the right conditions to perform at their best.
What's the best thing about working at this company?
The best thing about working here at Navigo is definitely the culture. It's a very familiar atmosphere, and we have a lot of after works, and it's very entrepreneurial and warm people who works here. So yeah, I definitely say that the culture is the best thing about working here.
How long have you worked here?
I have worked here for almost a year.
How many hours do you typically work per week?
It varies a lot, but around 40 to 60 hours a week, I'd say.
Do you have any places here at the office to just hang and socialize?
Yes, we do. This room, for example, is great to just hang out and socialize. Here you can play some video games and some other games. And last summer we actually sat here and watched a lot of soccer when there was the European Championship. So yeah, this is a great place to hang out.
Nice. Do you typically hang out outside of the office as well?
Yeah, we do. We have a lot of after works. Some people used to go and sing karaoke. And we also have a lot of people who travels together. So yeah, we do like to hang out outside the office as well.
Where's your office? Can you show us?
Yes, of course. Come on. So this is where I usually work, in here. So I usually sit at this desk, and we also have a working landscape where most consultants sit, but all associates have rooms like this where we work.
What's the demographics at this company?
We have a great mix of very experienced senior consultants and partners, but also a lot of newly graduates as well. So it's a great mix.
Can you work here although Swedish is not your first language?
Of course, you can work here, although Swedish is not your first language. And this is our working landscape.
Can you describe the company in 3 words?
Yes, then I would say ambitious, warm, and team players.
Why do you want SSC students to work here?
We actually have a lot of employees that went to SSC, and they usually perform very well and also thrive in our working environment. And a lot of skills that we're looking for is actually skills that you develop at SSC. So, yeah.
What's an unwritten rule here at the office?
An unwritten rule is that we have fredagsfika every Friday here in the kitchen. So we try to not book any meetings or schedule calls at 3 p.m. on Fridays, because then you want to have fika with your colleagues here in the kitchen.
What opportunities do you have for students who want to work here?
We have a lot of opportunities for students. You can do an internship. You can also work part-time during your studies. And we're actually looking for associates right now. So check out our webpage.
What makes a candidate stand out based on their application?
I'd say that it's good to highlight things that you have done outside of school or work. So perhaps you've played a sport or done something fun within the student association or played in a band. Those sort of things is always good to highlight.
And what's your best tip for a job interview?
Definitely just be yourself. We really want to get to know you, so just be open and yourself, and yeah, that's my best tip.
Nice. Thank you so much, Cornelia, for showing us around.
Thank you so much for coming, and I hope to see you soon. Bye!
Bye! Welcome back, everyone. We will now show you in an interview with Caroline Farberger, but due to some unfortunate incidents, we had to pre-record it. Still, we are certain that you will like it just as much anyways. Enjoy. Welcome back, everyone, and thank you so much, Navigo, Cornelia, and Hedda, for showing us around their office and answering all of our questions. It's finally time for our main guest of honor tonight, Caroline Farberger. Welcome to the Stockholm School of Economics. How are you?
Thank you for the invitation. I'm very well, thank you.
Good. Caroline, you have a very interesting background within business and engineering, and you actually have a degree in both economics and engineering from the University of Gothenburg and from Chalmers University of Technology. From my perception, you seem like a very goal-driven and ambitious person. Where do you think this drive comes from?
Well, I've always in my life had a drive and a desire to make an impact somehow. I want to create something in the end of my life that has been bigger than myself, and I also want to influence things. And I then thought that maybe with a solid educational background, my options in future life would be greater. But also, I'm kind of a high achiever. I'm motivated by receiving good grades, which gives me more energy to study even harder. So a bit of a high achiever also.
Yeah, that sounds like something that a lot of us here at SSC can relate to as well, I think.
I believe so.
Yeah. So speaking about being quite of a high achiever and being ambitious and driven, can you tell us a little bit more about your career journey and what positions and companies you've been at?
Well, when I graduated in actually 30 years ago now, I moved to Stockholm and joined McKinsey & Company as a consultant, where I stayed for 6 years, focusing on financial services. And then I decided I want a line management career, which I did at Trygg-Hansa, a major insurer. But then came the turn of the millennium, 2000, and it was a dot-com boom. So a friend and I started a dot-com startup, VC funded, which was great fun. But after a year and a half, we had to fold. The income didn't arrive. So I rejoined Trygg-Hansa and the line management career, which I pursued on various higher levels, both in Sweden, Denmark, and the UK, up until a headhunter called 6 years ago and asked me to come to ICA Försäkring, which had just been founded, a small startup in insurance. And for the past 6 years, I've been CEO of ICA Insurance, building that company in rapid growth, 800 million turnover and solid profitability now, which has been a great entrepreneurial journey. But now, later on this spring, I will switch industries to venture capital, and I will become partner and working chairwoman with Well Street, a tech-focused VC.
Yeah. Interesting. And as you mentioned, it has actually been highlighted quite a lot in business media that you are making this career change and becoming partner and working share of Well Street. And how come you're making this change now?
Well, I've come to the conclusion that I love entrepreneurship. I feel that my current journey with ICA Försäkring is a great entrepreneurial journey, and I want to make more, but not only one. But by working in VC, I see an opportunity to be very hands-on and support several entrepreneurs or founders, which are portfolio companies to us, so that I can be part of that entrepreneur and investment community. It gives me great energy.
Yeah, interesting. So going back then to talking a little bit more about your time at ICA Insurance, when you were there, you, as you mentioned, were the CEO, and you also actually underwent a gender correction, which has been spoken quite a lot about in the media. Could you tell us a little bit more about this journey and how it has been met within your work and within the industry?
Yes, I'm happy to. I'm kind of a late bloomer when it comes to figuring out my gender identity. It was at the age of 50 that I dared to investigate that. I've had inklings, feminine inklings during my life up until then, but didn't have the courage to really explore it. But maybe with age comes also personal maturity, and I thought to myself, who am I living my life for? Is it for someone else or for me? And I determined that life is too short not to live my life as who I am. So I picked up some courage and decided I need to do this. I need to live as who I am. And I was afraid, would I lose my socioeconomic platform? Would there be consequences on my job? Would I be respected in Swedish business society? Because after all, no one had done this from a CEO position before. But everything went extremely well. I informed my employer 5 months prior to my transition. I got tremendous support from them. So in September 2018, I did my gender transition from one day to another, and I was met with love, respect, and support unilaterally from both colleagues and many people I didn't know. And since then, it's been a very successful journey. I've only been met with positive reactions. I'm very happy that we as a society are in a place where you can actually do this.
Yeah, that's actually such an inspiring story and very, very brave of you, I must say. So talking a little bit more about your job and your position as the CEO, do you feel like you changed anything in your leadership and how you performed your job after becoming Caroline?
Well, that's an interesting question. I remember in interviews just after my transition 3.5 years ago, I was very sort of cocky and said that I wouldn't change anything because after all, my leadership is something that comes out of my experience and values, and those haven't shifted. So I thought, but coming from a majority, being a middle-aged white male on a senior level, which is a privileged position, and then be part of a minority. I mean, being a woman on a senior position is unfortunately still a minority thing. Made me change perspectives. And I got feedback from people I previously worked with that I had actually not had an inclusive leadership style. I had been quite authoritative and used my leadership team to drive my way. Now I've changed leadership style to be much more inclusive, much more observant to how people belonging to a minority feels the culture. And so I'm an inclusion junkie now.
Yeah, that's something that I like to hear at least. So you talked a little bit about this, that you sort of got a new perspective when you became Caroline, and that you got this new perspective on equality and things like that in the industry. So how do you think that, like, we who are the future of this industry here at SSE, how do you think that we can actively work to sort of prevent these inequalities?
That's a hugely important thing to think about, because when I was a student, and also through my entire business life as a male, I genuinely thought that the prerequisites or the platforms were equal for men and women. But it only took me a few months to live as a woman to realize that I had totally misunderstood that. We are unfortunately not at a place where everything is equal yet. And that's because there are so much social structures, norms, and privileges in businesses. So my advice would be to be very observant about these privileges. If you're a woman, you should take the courage to live and behave as you are, not to fall in the trap to see that, oh, I need to behave or look like a man or adopt male behaviors in order to come through at society. Yes, short term it might be sort of a tactical advantage, but long term you don't have the energy for that. You need to live your business life and your entire life as you are, and take up the space that you deserve. easy to say, but that's the way we need to go.
Yeah.
But even more important, what would I say to my son, who's now still in the gymnasium? That yes, there are privileges if you grow up as a white heterosexual male in today's society. You might not be aware of it because you might think that things is probably the same for everyone else. Well, thing is, it's not. If you are privileged, then it's your responsibility to educate yourself around those privileges and share those privileges. Make sure that the space you can come on in a room include others, lift others in the organization, because true diversity as a workplace makes more successful companies. So be aware of the privileges we unfortunately still have. Be aware of things like unconscious bias, and how we can work with that.
Yeah, that's actually so interesting. And we, in the second year business economics, we actually took a class called Global Challenges just before Christmas. And we talked a lot about this notion of norm criticism, that it can be so hard to see the privileges and to see the norm if you're yourself is within that norm. So I think the things that you're bringing up are so relevant and really, really interesting. So looking at it more from a organizational perspective, you said previously that you're kind of this equality junkie. So how do you think that, or do you have any like concrete examples of how you work within ICA Insurance with equality?
Yeah, well, first of all, I have a leadership team where we are 5 men and 5 women. Yet, yes, that's good from a statistics point of view, and it looks good on paper also. But that's only a start. The most important thing is the meeting culture, where I, as chairwoman of that management team, I see it as my responsibility to create an atmosphere where everyone can be themselves. For example, I might have a few men in the team who are like, alpha males, having very strong opinions on a lot of matters, and maybe have a strong voice. And I have people, maybe women, who not always share their opinion. It is my responsibility as a leader to actually invite and make sure that the speaking time is balanced so that everyone can and actually also does contribute with his or her opinions. And that's a culture thing. And as leader of the team, as a CEO, culture is my responsibility. And I need to be very aware what's happening in the room, who speaks, who does not speak. How can everyone be themselves?
Yeah. That sounds very, very wise of you, and I think the business industry would come such a long way if everyone had this this way of thinking as you have. And as you said earlier, when doing this gender correction and basically throughout your career and everything, you've had to have a lot of courage. And I'm just thinking that, like, do you have any tips for us, both for women or for someone who's thinking about doing a similar journey as you have, or just for women who's thinking about going into a male-dominant industry? How can we try to have this courage, and how can we become as brave as you can, or as you are?
Well, thank you for that. Well, I look forward to see more and more female role models in business, and most importantly, women who dare to be themselves and not try to fit into a norm. We need to encourage one another. Be outspoken. Make sure that you are visible in media, social media, etc., and be personal. Be yourself. Because after all, in business society as a whole, there's actually a fairly equal gender split, especially on lower levels on the big companies and big employers. But we need to share more inspirational examples of how you can be yourself and highlight those women in business who are strong enough to be themselves, because they are a true inspiration.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. I'm thinking that we're going to wrap up with one last question, and then we're going to move on to the last sequence, which is our 5 burning questions. But before that, would you give us your 3 best tips for succeeding both within your career, but also with your studies? Do you have any 3 best tips for us?
Find your passion and follow it, because if you're passionate about a subject or a certain industry, make sure to stake out your future there, because you will do a better job, as opposed to try to fit into a norm that your parents did something or your friends do something. Find your passion and follow it. And secondly, make sure that you select a leader and or employer who is inclusive, where you can be yourself. If you find yourself at a place where you cannot be who you are, then be strong and walk away. And finally, dare to be personal. Dare to be yourself, even if it means that you dress very individually or behave very individually, because life is too short to live as someone else than you are.
Yeah, those are some really, really good tips. I'm hoping that a lot of people will take them in and try to internalize them. So I'm thinking that we're actually going to wrap it up now with our 5 burning questions. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so question number 1. What time do you typically wake up every day?
5:20.
Oh, wow, that's really early. Who is your inspiration?
Barack Obama.
Oh, nice. What is the best fashion tips you've ever been given?
Select cool colors, which goes hand in hand with my eyes.
All right. What advice would you give to your younger self?
Dare to be yourself. Live the life as who you are.
Yeah. And what is something new that is happening in your life right now?
Changing industries, being a venture capitalist.
Yes, nice. Well, thank you so much, Caroline, for coming tonight and sharing your amazing experiences and your very, very inspiring and brave journey. I hope that you've enjoyed this interview just as much as I have, and I hope all the viewers and listeners. So thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
Once again, thank you so much, Caroline, for that insightful interview. We will now take a 15-minute break, and we will welcome all of our guests back at 7:30 for a fun game show.
Welcome back, everyone. My name is Nina, and I'm the president for Handelsdagarna 2022. My journey in Handelsdagarna started 1.5 years ago when I was a product member. I was later elected to the president. Since then, me and my amazing committee have worked very, very hard to make this week possible. It has certainly been an eventful year filled with a lot of challenges, but nevertheless, it has been one of the best years in my life, thanks to all the amazing people I've had the pleasure to get to know. When we started planning this week 1 year ago, we had a vision that we wanted the fair to flourish in its physical format again, and that the pandemic would be nothing but a memory. However, the world wanted differently, and we have done everything in our power to make the best out of the situation. We have tons of great events planned, such as inspirational lectures. Tomorrow we will have Jens Lapidius. On Wednesday we will have a recruitment panel, and we have a lot of different company events. On Friday we have over 700 interview sessions. And we will go to Las Vegas for 2 days on both Thursday and Friday. But the highlight of the week is, of course, the fair on Thursday, where over 60 companies are waiting to meet the students. But none of this would have been possible without the product members and the amazing committee that has worked day out and day in to solve all the near impossible tasks thrown at them. I want to give all of you a big thank you, and an extra big thank you to the lecture and broadcast team who has made this opening night possible to kick off this week. I'm super excited to see all the pieces come together and finally see the end result of what we have created during the year. Jessica and Adam have led this night and will continue to do so in an exceptionally well way. So without further ado, I let the stage over to you. Welcome to Handelsdagarna 2022.
Now the time has come to find out who truly knows the most about SSC.
Well, actually, we had originally planned to put our beloved teachers to the test in our new game show, Are You Smarter Than an SSC Student? But late last night, we got some unfortunate news, so we had to gather the lecture and broadcasting team and put in a crisis meeting, and we renewed the game show to Who Knows the Most?
We at Handelsdagarna have put together a little quiz in which we will test our contestants in multiple areas of study. The 5 chosen categories cover crucial knowledge in which every SSC member ought to know. Our 4 contestants have proven themselves as the most knowledgeable students here at SSC. So please, let's give a big round of applause for our contestants.
So you're that, yeah. Welcome up on the stage. Before we begin the game show, we shall present our participants.
All right, so first, closest to me, we have Ryan Thomas, who is a first-year bachelor student at the Retail Management program. Ryan is also famously known for his excessive love for shoes. Rumor has it that you learn people's shoe game before you learn their name. Is this true, Ryan?
Yes, probably. Honestly, yeah.
Okay.
Unfortunately. Or fortunately.
Then we have Luca Koch, who attends the master program in finance, and you might know him as a representative in FUM and from being one of the grandparents in the master introduction. Then we have Indra. She is a second-year business and economics student, and you might know her from her crazy dance moves on the Rotunda dance floor.
And last but not least, we have Elsa Karlsson, and she's a first-year business and economics student. And you might know her as the girl from Borås who took Sasse with Storm. Welcome, you all. How are you feeling?
Good.
Good, yeah.
Good, yeah.
Excited.
Good.
Happy to be here. Yeah.
You're not nervous?
Very
A
nervous.
bit, yeah. You should be. Well, let's dive in. The rules are very simple. A question or statement will be presented. You will have about 20 seconds to write down your answer on your assigned whiteboard. For each right answer, you will get 1 point.
Those are the rules. And now it's time to find out who knows the most about SSC. Are you ready?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect. Then let's dive into the first category. Category 1, the Rotunda. Question 1. The Rotunda is famous for its great events and extraordinary parties. All of SSC's committees have contributed to create iconic events in which some have grown into long-standing traditions. But we are wondering, which of our 8 committees has organized the most parties in Rotunda of all time? The timer starts now. All right, time is up. Okay, guys, you can present if you want to. Present your answers.
PU, the entertain. I didn't finish writing it, but
It's PU from me as well.
Yeah, I also
Great
answered.
plug.
Yeah, I was not
All right, everybody got it correct. It's PU, or
Good
the
job.
Entertainment Committee. Well done, guys.
Good job. So let's move on to question number 2. While partying in the Rotunda, one might become a bit thirsty. However, while being on the Daisy dance floor, it might be hard to interpreting the ordering menu and its prices. Therefore, we ask you, how much does a shot of vodka cost in the Rotunda? Let's see.
All right, present your answers, guys.
come on, man.
All right, starting from Ryan, what have you answered?
40 kroners.
I only know the price for 4 shots, so bad at math.
No, I think 40.
I'm a bit uncertain, as you can see. I still am.
Okay, we have 2 correct answers. Ryan and Indra.
Good job.
40 crowns. All right, we move on to the second category, number 2, which is Sveavägen. As many of you might know, SSC was founded in 1909. But back then, the school was not located in this lovely building here at Sveavägen 65. It was actually located at Brunkebergs torg in Norrmalm, Stockholm. The question therefore follows. What year did SSC move to Sveavägen 65? And you get alternatives. Is it A, 1925? Is it B, 1929? Or is it C, 1912? All right. Well, it looks like everybody except Ryan got the correct answer. 1925.
Good job.
I probably should know that.
All right, we're moving on to our second question. Sveavägen, despite its beautiful buildings and lovely environment, has had its fair share of unfortunate incidents. This summer, the introduction committee here at SSC fell victim to one unforgivable theft. Our question is, what was stolen? All right, let's reveal your answer.
Reveal your answer, guys. Ryan, would you care to elaborate on your answer?
A dog.
A dog.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, what
no
else do
idea.
you have? Red carpet, and art. Well, we have 2 correct answers from Luca and Indra. The red carpet. All right, now we move on to the third category, which is Swedish fika. All SSC members know that we consume incredible amounts of coffee, and during a 3-year bachelor program, students drink on average 1,355 cups of coffee. And this contributes to making Swedes the second highest consumers of coffee per day. Our question is, which Nordic country ranks at the first place? Your timer begins now. All right, let's see. We have one correct answer from Luca. The answer is Finland.
Good job, Luca!
Finland, who averages 4 cups of coffee per day.
Yeah. So let's move on to question 2. To your coffee, it might taste good with a little semla. And as you might know, the Swedish Semla Day, or Fetisdagen, is right around the corner. So, therefore, we are wondering, how many semlor are on average consumed in Sweden on that specific day? You get 3 alternatives. Fan, jag fuckade upp det. All
Can you read
right.
11. Luca, what have you given?
Oh, that's a 1 million.
That's a 1 million.
Yeah.
All right, we have one correct answer from Ryan. 5 million.
Nice.
5 million semlor. Vad är det? 11.
All right, we move on to category 4, the Nobel Prize. SSC has a rich history of famous and prestigious alumni, our current Prime Minister, amongst others. There's one alumnus in particular who was awarded the prestigious Nobel Prize for his theoretical contribution in the field of economics. Which alumnus are we talking about? Is it A, Lars Strannegård? Is it B, Bertil Ohlin? Or is it C, Dag Hammarskjöld? Yikes. The correct answer was B, unfortunately. Bertil Ohlin. Great try, guys.
Great try.
Well, yeah, great try anyways. So let's move on to question number 2. Every 4 years, SSC students have the honor of organizing the official after party of the Nobel Banquet. The extravagant celebrations is attended by the Luries, and in 2021, it was actually supposed to be held right here at SSC. But which school is organizing the official after party in 2022? Let's begin the timer.
Okay, we have 3 correct answers. The correct answer is SSC.
Well, sorry. Good job, Indra.
All right, now we move on to the 5th and last category before the final round. And in this round, we have a new set of rules. The one who is the closest to the answer will be awarded the point. So let's dive into it. The 5th and final category is, of course, Handelsdagarna. Question number 1. Handelsdagarna has established itself as a great tradition here at SSC, and the project has throughout the years provided both students and companies with endless opportunities. Still, the question is, what yearly edition is this year's Handelsdagarna? Your timer begins now. Reveal your answers.
Oh, I didn't understand the question. I thought there was like a new tradition that was added up. Yeah.
Okay, 16.
Blank.
Okay, so the point actually goes to Indra with the amazing guess of 40th. The right answer is the 39th edition.
Ooh.
Good job, Indra.
Good job.
So, moving on to the last question of the original round. As you might know, Handelsdagarna is SASS's largest project, and it contains of the Handelsdagarna committee, its project groups, and a number of different hosts. But the question remains, how many students have been involved in creating Handelsdagarna 2022?
All right. The correct answer was 141 students, which means that Ryan was the closest one.
Good
So he
job,
gets zero.
Ryan!
Good job.
Nice. No?
Nu går jag och hämtar final standings av Elin.
All right, great job, you guys. Now we will count all the points, and the 2 participants with the most points will compete in the final round. It looks like we have our counting. All right.
Då kör vi bara dem i finalen.
Starting closest. Ryan, you got 5 points.
Good job!
Luca, you also got 5 points.
Good job.
Indra. You also received 5 points. Unfortunately, Elsa, you received 3 points.
So, congratulations to Ryan, Luca, and Indra for making it to the final round. And I'm sorry, Elsa, but good job anyways. But before we begin the final round, we will show you a video from one of our partners, EY. We went out to their office one afternoon right after our Data Analytics 3 exam. And this is how it went.
My name is Anja. I am the Nordic Sustainability, or responsible for integration of sustainability in our Nordic EY offerings, and also the internal EY Sweden sustainability lead. And with me I have
Hannah, and I work as a consultant here at EY, and I'm part of the business transformation team working with the financial sector.
And we actually know each other a bit more than that, right, Hannah?
Yeah, we do. We both play in EY soccer team.
Good.
So Anja, can you tell us a little bit about your responsibilities within sustainability here at EY?
Sure. So in my role, I have a responsibility for, of course, in my internal EY Sweden role, I have responsibility for our internal sustainability reporting. I also have responsibility for driving various types of initiatives on how we can actually meet our carbon ambition that we're very proud of, reducing the energy use in our offices, and finding ways also to engage and inspire our personnel to make their a bit more increase their well-being. And then in my Nordic role, I have the exciting opportunity to actually drive how we can work better with sustainability as an entire company. And EY is in a particularly good position here. We have the strategy from the top of creating long-term value, something that really makes me tick, and also building a better working world. But now we are actually putting that a lot more into practice, and we have the people, the data analysts and the technologists that can help our clients calculate what emissions they have in their products, services and business models. And then if they maybe need to update their business models or just review their strategy, we have the strategists that can help with that, or the transaction specialists that can help with making more sustainable purchases. And then moving on from that, if you change business models, for instance, from a service or from a product to a service, that will be tax implications. We have the tax specialists that can help in that area. And then, of course, being an auditing firm, we have the people who have been part of developing the new EY reporting framework, for instance, that a lot of our clients are hit by. So it's a big opportunity as well. So that makes me inspired. To get all of these actors to talk to each other and be tighter so we can provide better service to our clients.
Yeah. So, Anna, do you have some advice for students what they should focus on during these studies?
I think one really basic thing is to do what makes you tick. What is your passion and what makes you really interested? Personally, when I studied at SSE, I did trade and economics, focused on international development. And that was something that really inspired me. They made it so much easier to get through those tough statistics and econometrics classes. And the insights, the analytical capabilities I got from those classes, I have so much use for in my everyday work now as well. So I would say, do what feels right for you, because to meet the challenge of the future, we will need a variety of skills. We will need a broad skill set. We need the experts, the ones that really get into that tax reporting, the analytical path. And we need the generalists that can talk about things in a more general manner and really understand these connections. So do what really is your passion.
I think that's some great advice. It's really important to focus on what you think is fun and interesting. But if you're interested in sustainability in particular, do you have some advice for those students?
Yeah, first of all, I think if you're studying at SC, I know in the bachelor program they now have a course in sustainability accounting. That will be crucial for the future to actually understand that and understand the connection to financial accounting, because that's both types of important value. However, what is also true there, if you don't get all those different technical skills, to think about to actually put those demands on your companies and lift that you're interested in sustainability. Because I'm going to tell you a bit of a secret. EY has changed a bit of strategy. We have really started to focus a lot more on sustainability, and because it's the right thing to do. But the secret thing, it's actually because we know we won't be able to recruit any talents if we don't change. So, and the reason why we do that is because I put demands on EY when I came in, and people like me. And you as students today can really lift those demands as well. So that's that would be. But you, Hanna, you're fresh into the work career. What would be your advice?
So as I mentioned in the beginning, I am mainly focused on working with the financial sector, but I'm very interested in sustainability in general as well. So now during the fall, I got the chance to be a part of an initiative that EY is arranging to coordinate sustainability roundtables. And for me, that has been great that I get to see all the offers that EY has within sustainability, and also to connect with people with the same interests as I have. So I think it's great that even though it's not my main area of work at the moment, I can still be involved in the things I find interesting.
And I think that's a great advice to actually, also when you get into your office career, start to lift what you are interested in, what makes you tick.
Yeah.
I think our time is maybe up, but we have an important game to prepare for, right?
Yeah, definitely. On Sunday.
Yeah, we're meeting another one of the big four. They're going down.
Thank you to our partners EY for that video. Now, let's give a big round of applause for our finalists. Woo! Are you feeling good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice. Okay, so now it's the final round. We have a new set of rules again. It's time for 5 rapid-fire questions. I will read the questions, and once you think you know the answer, you'll grab the apple placed on the table in front of you. If you answer correctly, you'll get 1 point. But be cautious. If you answer incorrectly, the question will be passed to the finalist to the right of you. If all answers are incorrect, no one will receive a point. There are a total of 5 questions. Are the rules understood?
Yes.
Okay. Then we dive into the first question. No hands on the table, please.
I'm very sorry.
Okay. Question number 1. How many crowns are there in the SSC logo? All right, Ryan.
I feel like I'm going to get so bullied if I don't get this right. 3? Oh, please.
That is correct.
Okay, nice. That's just
Good answer. Okay, we move on to question number 2. How many committees are there within Ssc?
8.
That is correct.
Okay.
Good answer. All right, already at question number 3. At what time during the day can you purchase sandwiches at 50% of the original price in the SSC cafeteria? Ryan again.
Lunch, 12 o'clock.
That is unfortunately incorrect, and it goes to the person
tried.
right to you. So, Luca, you get to answer.
Happy hour at 4. I don't think they call it happy hour, though.
Qualified guess, because that is correct. All right, question number 4. Now, excluding the basement, officially, how many floors does the SSC building have?
4.
That is correct.
Good job.
All right, and for the final question, you probably know the main building's address, but what is the street name of the retail management building? Hint, 2 alternatives can give 2 points.
Okay. Saltmätargatan 13 to 17. And then Holländargatan 50 something. Not 58.
That is correct. We asked for the street name.
Yeah.
Lovely. One more. All right. Then we have to have a bonus question to set the tiebreaker between Ryan and Luca. Other ones are allowed to answer as well. All right, so we have a tiebreaker, and this is a relevant one because we're currently at the beginning of Handelsdagarna, and you've seen her already today. But what is the name of the Handelsdagarna president?
Nina Erlandsson.
That is correct.
Amen.
And we have our winner. Give it up for Ryan Thomas.
Thank you. I get flowers?
Good job, Ryan.
Good job.
Thank you
Give
so
it up
much.
one more
Congrats.
for Ryan.
Oh.
And that completes our late night talk show. Hopefully you enjoyed the show and a small preview of Handelsdagarna, which is right around the corner.
Yes. Thank you all so much for coming. Don't forget to attend all of our awesome events throughout the week. See you guys around. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.